This is Jakob Ingebrigtsen, one of the greatest distance runners we have ever seen. World record holder in the 1500 metres indoors, 2000 metres, 3000 metres, and even the 2 miles. And this is me, Mark, from GTN, absolutely not a professional runner, about to take on Jakob's infamous double threshold day. Well, Jakob is a phenomenal athlete. He's won just about everything over middle distance running. Recently, he even dabbled with long distance running his first half marathon, in which he clocked an eye-watering 27:27 through 10k, and subsequently blew up and stopped briefly, but still ran a 1:03 half marathon, as you do. Anyway, he, like many great athletes these days, hails from Norway, home to Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Iden, and many, many more incredible athletes, including actually his 2 brothers. So yes, by now you have all heard of the Norwegian Method. We'll get into that a little more later on. But today, I want to dig deeper into what Jakob is doing, the training he's doing, and what sets him apart from his rivals. Well, thanks to Chorus, we're able to take a look at one of his key training days, double threshold days. Yeah, you heard me, double threshold. This is supposedly a staple in his training. In fact, I'm told he performs this style of training a couple of times a week and follows a similar structure for a very long time. So in short, he performs a threshold workout in the morning, indoors, and then another threshold workout later in the day on the track. I'll get into some of the science and deeper thinking behind his style of training, but being the inquisitive person I am, I kind of want to experience it too. So let's head to the treadmill for workout number 1 of the day.
All right, Coach James here. Mark is underway with his first session. His first session is 53 minutes long, and it's all on the treadmill. It's a 15-minute warm-up in zone 2, of course, and then 4 by 6 minutes at threshold intensity with just 1 minute rest in between, and then another 10-minute cool down in zone 2 again. And we're told by Koros that Jakob did these intervals, wait for it, 244 to 252 per kilometer. That's under 435 per mile pace. Wow! But when performing these workouts, Jakob doesn't actually use a prescribed pace or intensity. It's all controlled by his lactate. Now, using lactate to prescribe training is actually nothing new. The Norwegian Method has been around for literally years. However, recently, what we've seen is the amount of lactate testing people are doing is way ramped up. Essentially, what they're doing is testing between every single rep to keep their lactate below a certain level. Essentially, Jakob is going to run this session as fast as he possibly can, whilst keeping his lactate below a certain level. And so we're going to embrace the Norwegian Method today, and we're going to test Mark's lactate after every rep. And we'll be able to see exactly when he goes above his threshold and blows up, which I'm going to predict is going to be after the very first rep. All right, Mark's about to start his first 6-minute rep. 6 minutes at threshold, but Mark's obviously got to predict what threshold is without actually having run at that pace yet. What pace are you going for, Mark?
16 and a half.
So that's 340 per kilometer, nearly a full minute per kilometer slower than Jakob. You confident that's going to be under your threshold, Mark?
Not really, no.
We'll find out in 6 minutes. Now, your lactate threshold is traditionally your zone 4. It's where you go above threshold, and if you were doing threshold reps, you would aim for around zone 4. However, exercise scientists count that zone as 4 millimoles per liter of lactate in your blood. The Norwegians lower this substantially to around 2.3 to 3 millimoles per liter in your blood. This is way below a traditional threshold, but allows them to do a lot more work in their threshold during both the session and during the week as a whole. That's the first rep. Let's see what Mark's lactate is doing. 3.4 for that one. Above Jakob Ingebrigtsen's limit, but below the 4 millimole limit. Two, one. 3.8 for that one. you should probably take your pace down a little bit, because next time you'll definitely be over 4 millimole, and you're already way above what Jakob would limit his at.
It's funny because if I was doing this on my own, out on the canals, I feel really controlled.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to be even more controlled. So knock it down a little bit. So Ingebrigtsen chooses to do many of his workouts on the treadmill because, I quote, "The treadmill is far more controlled versus being outdoors. I can set a pace and forget it without having to deal with wind, corners, or any other conditions. With being on a treadmill, I can keep a close eye on my heart rate, lactate, and pace." Even the world champion needs a treadmill. .3. So we brought him down in pace, and he's got a bit more settled into 3 for that third rep. One more rep. I reckon in a week's time, a bit of training, you can come back and you won't have to lower the pace for the last 2. It's the Norwegian method, right? It's the Norwegian method. So we've lowered Mark's pace, and he thinks he's running below threshold now, and his lactate kind of agrees with that. But interestingly, his heart rate's at 163, which he would have said is his threshold heart rate. So his heart rate's actually spot on. What pace are you running now, Mark?
3:45. Which isn't the pace I thought I had.
Alrighty, let's see where you're at. 2.7, so it's gone down in that last one. We could probably have afforded you to run, I don't know, 0.2 faster.
But I got a big workout this afternoon to think about.
You do. All right, so that's it for this session. Mark's got a 10-minute warm down in zone 2, and then we'll give him 4 or 5 hours and we'll see him on the track.
So, I guess the big question we all have, why a double threshold day? Well, Jakob isn't in fact the first to do this. The real pioneer behind double threshold days is an ex-elite, also Norwegian runner, Marius Bakken, who, through his own training and research, created a training model that has since become very famous. Now, most of us have heard of the popularized training model of 80-20. 80% of total training at a low intensity, 20% at a high intensity. Whereas what Marius proposes in his Norwegian model is a 65-35 split. But rather than the 35% being of high intensity, instead it's predominantly moderate to moderately high intensity, basically threshold work, teamed with high volume. And one of the methods of achieving this high volume and threshold work is by doubling up on their threshold sessions within a single day. Double threshold days. And these principles were actually shared with the Ingebrigtsen family, who have all gone on to be phenomenal runners and do amazing things. So I'm 1 run down. I know I have worked hard, but I'm actually feeling okay. These might be famous last words. So this afternoon's workout will be on the track, which I'm actually really looking forward to, but I'm told it's probably the toughest one. So I'm going to get some food in and we'll see you there. So final workout of the day, and I'm told this is probably the harder one. So I've got 15 minutes warm up zone 2 into 10 by 400 meters at kind of upper threshold with 30 seconds recovery between, 4 minutes rest, and then 10 by 400 all over again, and then 10 minutes warm down. Now I'm told when Koros joined Jakob, he actually repped 63 seconds for those 400 meter reps with just 30 seconds recovery between. Holy smokes, that is mental. So he's clearly nudged it on a bit for the afternoon session, but still sitting below that lactate threshold. Anyway, I need to stop thinking about this. I need to crack on. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go. Now he's opted to start a little bit faster than we went this morning on the treadmill, around 3:30 per kilometer. I predict, similar to this morning on the treadmill, I'm going to test his lactate and have to tell him to slow down. What was that?
25 per kilometre pace.
Don't you have to test it. I can see this lactate's too high by the breathing.
Not so easy at the time.
3.5 for that first one. He's pushing it already and he's only on number 2. .3, perfectly under control. Good job, Mark. Yep. Up to 3.7. I mean, he's technically still under the 4 millimole threshold, but he's way above what Ingebrigtsen would hold, and he's pushed it up a whole millimole per litre in that last rep. So I don't think he's going to be able to do the whole second set at that pace.
Right, first set down. Well, my 4-minute recovery now. You know what? I'm hurting, but had I not had James here taking my lactates, I would definitely have buried myself by now and probably be very worried about the second set. But I'm feeling, again, famous last words, all right at the moment. So, I think. I'm just disappointed that James isn't taking my lactate from my ear so I don't get that gnarly kind of like spray of blood all down my shirt.
All right, second set, exactly the same again, and perfectly the exact same lactate too would be good, Mark.
All right.
If you can manage that. Off you go.
I don't feel as comfortable.
3.3, a little bit higher than it was at the end of that last one, so you might be running a bit too hard. That's not right. 17.8. I think you might have fallen over. It was 17.8. We've definitely got a reading error there. Insufficient blood or something on that one. Icon popping up there. I don't know whether it might be the instructions. 2.9. .5. Still under the 4 millimole cutoff, so technically you're under that threshold. Not under the Ingebrigtsen threshold though, because he tries to keep it around 3 while he's running 240 per K. But still solid day of work, Mark.
Yeah, you just come to all my run sessions. You're like my dedicated physiologist. I actually really enjoyed this.
How much do you pay?
Got gels and stuff.
I think maybe I'll be Ingebrigtsen's rather. Well, Mark, pretty solid day of Norwegian style training there.
Yeah, 23 kilometres-ish, maybe a little bit more actually, of quality running. I don't actually feel that rude. I feel tired.
So what you're saying is Jakob Ingebrigtsen's training is pretty easy?
No. But what I mean is, if I had just gone and done a single 23 kilometre hard run today, I'd be pretty tired now and I'd feel it tomorrow. But I actually, dare I say it, feel like I probably in a couple of days' time could go and do this all again, or a similar kind of...
We might hold you to that. But what you're saying though...
The cameraman's on, it's his weekend and everything, you know.
What you're saying though is that the real key of this is the intensity control. You had this like upper limit where you absolutely were not allowed to go above, and because of that you held yourself back, and because of that you're able to do so much more. It's kind of the secret, isn't it?
this is literally exactly it, right? And I definitely, as I said during the 400s, would have pushed harder, and that's literally what I do all the time. I always push too hard and blow up.
If you're not above 4 milliliters per liter, you're not actually working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I probably could have done with doing a lot of this during my actual pro career. I would have got much further with things.
We've seen quite a lot of the Norwegian method lately. Now, it's not a new concept. It's been around for a long time. But we have seen quite a lot of success in the triathlon world. And it's quite interesting because it's not unusual, and it's never been unusual for a triathlete to do like a threshold swim in the morning and a threshold run in the evening. The new thing was kind of the real strict intensity control that came with this from the Norwegians, and that's what Jakob Ingebrigtsen is doing too.
Yeah.
He's controlling it so that it looks like it's easy, but obviously if you did that again and again and again, your paces would come down for the same lactate, and soon you'd be running.
What I can't get my head around still is 63 seconds per 400 meters
at under 3 millimoles per liter, like he wasn't above his threshold.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Now it's worth pointing out, there is this kind of trend around using lactate and lactate meters, and a lot of people jumping on this, but we are really talking about eking out that final 1%.
Yeah.
And I've seen amateurs getting them, and we even found today a couple of kind of weird results where it was.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, even the tiniest drop of sweat or even the cold affected a few of our readings today. You have to know what you're doing, otherwise it's completely useless, and it's kind of hard work to do. There's a lot of logistics that go into reading your lactate. Until we have a continuous lactate reading device on our smart watches, I don't think it's practical for every person to use a lactate meter. However, what you do take away from it is that if your zones are accurate and you're strict about staying in the right zone for that session, you can get a lot more work done and go a lot further and still get all the fitness benefits of someone like Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
It's definitely got me thinking about my zones, because they're clearly wrong, and I need to set them correctly. And yeah, I'm actually quite excited coming away from today, having now sort of like figured out where I need to be. So yeah, great fun.
Cool, yeah, it's been a really good day and really interesting. And coming up next, Mark tests his zones accurately.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed following on today and learned a little bit as well. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. See you next time.